Hello everybody, Mannix here, going to be doing a quick knife locking mechanism explanation video. Feel free to subscribe, hit that little bell notification button if you don't want to miss any weekly knife, gear, gun videos, so on and so forth. Feel free to support me on Patreon, link down in the description. But you simply watching the video is support too, so thank you so much for watching. Let's get right into this as quick as possible. This is going to be an explanation on the SOG Arc Lock. Now, if you're familiar with this, it is a side actuating locking mechanism. Very simple, just like the Spyderco cage ball bearing lock, just like the Benchmade axis lock, just like Cold Steel's Ultra Lock, back when they made that back in the day. There's tension on this locking mechanism, constantly pushing this way on the left. As you can see, it kind of looks like a smiley face, a little cutout it's residing in there. It also keeps the blade in place from that tension, just the way the tang of the blade is shaped as well. You can see it applying pressure to it and keeping it shut. So although there's no detent or anything on here, the locking mechanism itself is what sucks it back in place. This is a SOG spec-elite, by the way. Spec-elite 2. Sorry, it's a big guy. But right when the space clears of the tang of the blade, pop, the locking mechanism just shoves itself in place because, again, that tension of the spring that's wrapped around it is constantly putting tension on it and wanting it to go into that space. So it's a steel bar that's in the way, so if you apply any negative force, that's force on the spine of the blade, the tang gets stopped by that lock bar, the cylindrical lock bar right there, and any positive force, that's force going on the cutting edge, if you were to make a cut or something, is being stopped by that stop pin right there, which is separate from the locking mechanism. So it's an extremely simple design. You can see the arc lock is swiveling. That is the arc lock itself. That's the bar from the arc lock that is actually locking it in place. That's just the bar that it is swiveling on, as you can see right there. Just get one more good look at that. Pop. Very simple. So essentially it works the same as a Benchmade axis lock, though instead of just being a cylindrical piece of metal with spring tension around it, shoving it forward, we have it swiveling on a separate piece right there. That's what that little pin is. That's the arc lock. It's swiveling on there kind of like a pendulum, and then that pin you see on the left of that is the stop pin, and that's the pivot pin. So it's a little bit more technical. It's still really cool. Is it better than the axis lock? Is it worse? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It's just a slightly different method. It's swiveling rather than being a standalone cylinder with a spring on it. So very simple, very unique at the same time, but functions very well. And you can do this with it. Hey-o! Love it when you can do that with a knife. You can play around with it like the Benchmade axis lock. Or again, the Spyderco cage ball bearing lock. Simple, you can relieve the tension of the blade without having to touch the blade at all, and without having your fingers in the space of the blade, and that's why you can play with it. So even on such a huge knife, you can play with it like that, and that's really cool. Really fun. Love it when I can do that with the blade. Very fast, there's not too much tension on there, so it doesn't make the blade too slow. And again, when you let go of the tension, you can open it up that way. Really awesome locking mechanism. Very ingenious design. So anyway, that is the SOG Arc Lock.